waste little time as possible before we officially get started. I'm MatthiaGryffine, and I've run a number of Final Fantasy XIV runs in the past, but tonight I am going to be giving you guys a full experience of the New Game Plus, which was recently introduced, of the Heavensward expansion, introduced in 2015, and I am proud to be joined on commentary by someone who I recently collabed with to do a video for people to get us through the COVID-19 situation we're currently in. Could you introduce yourself?
Hello there, Burakisu Zerzane.
And it's an honor to have him with me. He's the guy who spearheaded it, and he put together this really cool video using footage from myself and various other people who play Final Fantasy XIV together. If it's possible, if it's possible for him to link his video in Discord, and then that could get linked in chat so people could see it. I know that we would definitely like to see that video go viral in a good way. So hopefully we'll be able to make that all work out for you guys tonight. So, without further ado, it is time for us to get started on our journey in the Heavensward expansion. We have everything set up for starting on Heavensward New Game Plus Part 1, and so time will start when we accept our first quest from our friend Alphanode, and he and Tataru and myself are going to begin on our journey. So, timer for the journey in Heavensward New Game Plus starts in 3, 2, 1, go. And so, right out of the gate, we are going to get the journey started with a bit of a sequence break. So, we're going to warp right away to the city we need to go, but in order to advance the story, we need to leave the city, which we can do once we arrive at the main Aetheryte, the main hub. And then, once we've done that, we can then fast travel outside to the gates, and then we can speak with the guard and advance the story.
Alright, excellent, let's go.
Alright, speak to the guard. And head back on in again. Yeah, it's just a faster way than leaving the city. Alright, so now we are speaking with the servant representing House Fortemps. We saw the gentleman named Horchefant, who we saw just a moment ago. He's from that family, and so now we are going to meet up with his entire family here in this city that's stuck in perpetual winter. So there's Mr. Horchefant. We'll go ahead and speak with him. So we won't get to see all of his family right away, but we will as we go on.
I can do without a few of his family members. Some of them just didn't like.
So the next course of action is for us to basically tour the city, as it were. And apparently people just can't stop getting in my way. So while we're touring the city, Barack, why don't you take the opportunity, while we have it, to talk about how you decided to come up with this idea for the collab that you decided to create for the COVID-19 situation that's going on.
Well, it all started about half a month into the lockdown, as pretty much the whole world was about to erupt into chaos. I knew a bunch of people that were going through this and having very different experiences, like around the world. I have like a whole bunch of people that I know in different countries across damn near every continent, and something just clicked in me. I got tired of hearing about all this negativity and like hardship and just everything bad that was going on, like the general stupidity that some people were having. It's not that hard a concept to understand. Stay inside, we all live. Go out, something bad might happen. Stay away from each other. Shouldn't be that hard to understand, you know. Most of us are adults thoughts, or at least try to be at times. So I thought, hey, why not take one of the most successful MMOs out there, get some people together, and do something about this. You know, can't really do much, but I'll do what I can. Thank some people, make some new friends, see how the world's going, spread some information. Definitely not disinformation. Actually, love trying not to. Yeah, that's pretty much how I got the idea, how it all just came together. Just wanted to bring a little joy to everyone around the world, even if it was just a little bit.
Yeah, we're really grateful for that. I was able to hook up with him around the time that he was starting to come up with the idea, and when he said what he wanted to do, I was like, okay, why don't we come up with the idea of, initially, for me, it was just to shoot a bunch of random clips of my RP character and in various random spots. And ultimately, Barack came up with the idea of using one of the places that I shot from, a free company, aka Guildhouse here in-game, that also doubles as a nightclub, called Allure Lounge, which is located on the Ultra server on the Primal Data Center. And so we spent an entire night shooting from there. We had a great time, everyone enjoyed themselves, and there was a lot of clips used from the footage that we shot. I definitely feel great to have contributed to Barack's efforts there, and it's one of the main reasons why I wanted him to join me for this particular run. I know that he's told me he can't stay for the entire run, but I'm glad that he is at least here so that you guys can know about the efforts that he made towards the trying to lift the spirits of people who have been dealing with the situation going on in the world right now. So, from the bottom of my heart, Barack, thank you not only for accepting me as part of your collab, but for being here tonight with me.
Of course, same thing for you, my friend.
That's very appreciated.
As though you were the main star of it.
Or more specifically, my RP character was the main star.
Hey, you are your RP character.
Yes, indeed. Alright, so now that we've had the opportunity to explain that to all of you guys here tonight, we're now in a situation where we have to help out the two sons of Count Edmond of the Forton family. The first of his sons who we're helping out is a Manlan here. He is trying to hit on this woman that we're speaking to, Lady Lynette here, who runs the station at Camp Cloudtop. And Amanlan cannot go anywhere in life without his preteen manservant slash wingman Onawa, which is why he is also here. So yeah, he fancies himself to be a lover boy, and he tries to use Onawa as a way of saying to Lady Lynette, hey, I'm good with kids.
I remember calling that guy Mr. Fago, because he just was a disappointment to the family.
Alright, so we've been instructed now to go and start confronting some enemies. So we're fighting some opponents now for the first time, known as the Vanu Vanu. Basically, they are this game's version of the, well, I don't know what you would call them, but they're basically birdmen.
Bird people.
Yeah, I know that there's some other games out there that have used birdmen in the past. Like Shining Force 2 comes to mind. At least from my personal experience, I know there are a few others. But these guys aren't exactly on our side, at least not in the early going.
But they do taste good and they're high in calories.
So yeah, we gotta go to 3 different spots to try and spot these guys.
Just remember, be careful. You're a Dragoon.
Yes, indeed. Alright, so as a Dragoon, it's easier for me to jump and launch my attacks that way. Given that I'm currently at level 80 and we're doing New Game Plus, I'm able to use an enhanced version of my jump attack, which was made available at level 74, which allows me to do my normal jump attack faster. And it also comes with a special effect of having something called Mirage Dive, which gives me a second follow-up attack. Also, you may have noticed standing next to me is another Dragoon, wearing the same armor I'm wearing. Indeed. Alright, so now, I'm going to try and do a little trick for speedrunning purposes here. Yeah, you might not have noticed what I was doing there, but I was doing some animation canceling. As I'm dismounting from my chocobo, I'm able to do the emote that I needed to do, which is to psych up my the people I need to talk to. But if I'm doing it while I'm in the middle of my dismount, the animation itself gets cancelled out, saving me a few seconds. Because depending on what type of gender and race you're playing as, the various emotes that are needed to be used during the course of the run can vary. And on male Mikote, the psych emote does take a bit of a while to be able to be performed. So by animation canceling, it just cuts out those extra seconds that I need.
That's crazy. You PC people and your shortcuts. There's nothing sacred to y'all.
Yeah, in fact, that was actually found by accident. So just in such a hurry to keep going that I didn't even realize I had animation canceling going on until I actually noticed it for the first time.
A likely story. Next thing you know, it ends up in a mod.
So now, Lady Lynette has instructed Amanlan and I to go search for some crystals which are capable of producing moisture for springs that will allow us to be able to supply the encampment here with water. Yeah, as you may have noticed, we're in an area known as Sea of Clouds, which is this, as the name implies, a sea of clouds. And we have all these fancy floating islands to get to journey from. Now we have to go and find one of these crystals. Now there's going to be a whole bunch of them in this little lake here, but the one we need to find is all the way conveniently at the far end. Also, don't mind the random battles that other people are doing. And then we'll go ahead and help ourselves to the spring crystal. There we go. And we gotta take it back to our wingman, Ottawa. Because, yeah, Ottawa really is a wingman for Amanlan. So let's go ahead and speak with him. Yeah, he's just chilling out here out in the middle of nowhere.
I always like nice fishing spots.
Yeah, you can actually... fishing is one of the gathering options that you have here in Final Fantasy XIV. And you're not just limited to fishing in water. You can actually fish in sky, too.
No, sky fishing defies all logic. But hey, when there's magic in the world, anything is possible.
Yes, indeed.
Your imagination.
So now we have to see where Amanlan went, but we're having no luck in finding him so far. And as we're going to discover in a moment, Amanlan ran into some trouble, and so we're gonna have to save him in a moment. So now I've got to chill out for a while and wait for Ottawa to arrive. I should point out as well, almost all of the cutscenes in this game are skippable, but over the course of this run, there are 3 cutscenes we will not be able to skip because we are asked to do multiple choice. We're forced to do multiple choice on 3 different instances. That won't come until a little later, so now here's where the normal aspect of the run comes in, because in New Game Plus, you're allowed to decrease the difficulty of these instant battles that we're about to go into. But why would we want to do that? If we're going to prove ourselves as speedrunners, we should make sure we do them at the regular difficulty, or sometimes harder. So I'm going to have these guys chase after me. And hope that we're moving fast enough that we're able to keep our chain attack going. You'll see the dotted lines around my attacks from time to time. That lets it know that it's part of a chain, but the chain either gets broken either if I do an attack that's not part of the chain, or if I press the wrong button, or if I run out of time to use it, because I only have a short amount of time to keep the chain running. But I do want to get as many of these Vanu to come after me as possible. You may have also noticed that we're not using the jump button normally, and also that because we're doing this under normal circumstances, we are not implementing the super powerful jump that I have available otherwise. Yeah, I want all of these guys to come after me. And get to where Onawa is currently being guarded on.
I remember there being more.
Well, there are more. We're just not doing. We're just doing everything we can to not deal with them currently. So now it becomes a grind to just endure. And then we'll just finish the last guy up because he's a mage. And set a manland free. Well, thanks to the introduction of New Game Plus, it now is. And so now we have to make a break for it. But not in the way you guys would think. We're going to have some spawns appear. And I want to try to stop them as much as possible. Because every time that Onawa or a manland is attacked, he will freeze in place. And he won't resume running until we have killed everything. Yeah, if you're really lucky, you can get it so that he never freezes at all. Yeah, if you get everything to work out, you can make sure that manland never stops moving. So now we're in the process of trying to stall any other would-be attackers. Because the manland will continue to get chased. The manland will continue to get chased until we get to the guards from Ishgard. Because we are going to be getting reinforcements eventually, but that's where manland is. So the longer we can keep the would-be attackers from him, the better. And if it all works out, he'll never get attacked again. There will be more spawns, but they will not reach him in time. Yeah, you can see he moves really slowly. He's probably wounded in this entire ordeal. Yeah, he was probably wounded as a result of getting captured, which is probably why he was running so slowly. So, helping us escape is this game's version of Sid, who actually has quite a complicated story in this game. Now that we've saved the Madeleine, we now have to report back to Lady Lynette. So once we've successfully talked with Lady Lynette, we can then say mission accomplished and head on back to Ishgard.
Just make sure you show her respect.
Yes, indeed. She does run things around here.
Whichever comes first.
Okay, so it's faster for us to just warp back now to Ishgard rather than fly back. And we'll be meeting up at the Astrologicum with Lord Hoshafon. because he's the one who led the rescue party, as it were. And then we'll go ahead and speak with a manland over at Forton Manor. Yeah, because it's...
Everything looks the same.
Yeah. So since it's always perpetual winter around here, it should not come as much of a surprise that we rarely get sunny skies in this place. So Manland basically gets his ego broken a bit, and now we'll help out Count Enmon's second son, Arturel. Sorry.
The favorite son.
The favorite son.
Hey, just saying.
Alright, so now to meet up with Arturel, we have to go to Falcon's Nest, a settlement in another territory, but in order to get there, we're going to be going by Chocobo. That's the only way to advance in the quest line. Yeah, we could go directly to Falcon's Nest if we wanted to, but they want us to stay in tune with the quests. And if you're wondering why you're hearing so many Discord sounds, it's just because of how we had to set things up for this run. And so, welcome to Falcon's Nest. This place basically got excavated out of all the snow that exists around here. So overseeing the reconstruction project of this place is Mr. Redwald. And the foreman, Ruff, is who we're going to be speaking with next. And so we're going to tell him that we're some hired help that's here to lend a hand. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and target 3 spots that are going to have icicle sprites on them. And we need to clear them out.
I think the Saudis will be smarter than this.
And then we have another one all the way over here. And then one more this way.
That really puts a dent in your speed run, doesn't it?
It's yeah, it does. Yeah, just having the high jump slash mirage dive combo is really useful when running as Dragoon. There are other classes that can run faster than Dragoon. I should point that out, that is something that I do have faster times on Red Mage, which is one of the prominent speedrun jobs for Final Fantasy XIV. My personal best over Dragoon is like 3.5 minutes, because Red Mage outputs more damage and has more agility in battle and has more maneuverability. But Dragoon is the game's most prominent class in canon. So it's for that reason that I'm running on Dragoon. So we're going to help out this guy here by obtaining some bristle skin off of these deep eyes. Yeah, because Dragoon is the primary class in canon in this game, I thought it made the most sense to do the speedrun this way for you guys here tonight.
Even though Dark Knight is obviously the better class.
Yeah, and within Shadowbringers, it is that's the job in canon for Shadowbringers, the current expansion, and it was introduced here in the Heavensward expansion. So yeah, we were asked to deliver something to this lady over here, but it's apparently something that she didn't want. So now it's back to Falcon's Nest. So we'll let Redwall know that our tasks out in the field are finished for now. And now we gotta go chasing after some of the primary antagonists of this particular game for this expansion. Because if you followed Final Fantasy XIV to any extent, you'll know that during the story of A Realm Reborn, the expansion part of this one, aka the reboot, that Ishgard has been having issues with heretics, as it were, and that's on top of the problems that they have to deal with dragons, because they're also dealing with dragons in this part of the world as well. So if you combine all that, it gives Ishgard a bit of a hard time. So we're going to try and confront some of these heretics out in the field with Arturel's assistance.
I know, I'm a major heretic. I was going around lifting up some of the ladies' dresses, strutting around as a Dark Knight, doing up as a heretic.
Alright, so yeah, we had to come over here to speak with Arturel, because that's the... down there is the only safe way he can get to where we're going, but we have the ability to fly, so yeah, go back to the opposite side again. And we're gonna go ahead and get ready to make a confrontation at this abandoned camp. So I'm gonna set the hotbars in such a way that I can hit the ground, dismount from my chocobo, and I'm immediately ready for battle when the enemies arrive. And then we can help this guy out.
That guy looks like he has good gear. Kill him, take his stuff, report that he died from the bandits.
Okay, so now we're gonna go and search for the heretic's lair, which will be taking place through another one of these instanced battles. Gotta come to these fresh footprints. And we're gonna start chasing. And away we go. So you'll see these suspicious footprints as we go along. We don't have to look at all of them. We only have to look at the third set of footprints that we see. So yeah, we're gonna deliberately skip the first two. Run on some ice, because I have impressive traction with these boots. Yeah, this is where we want to be, because when we investigate this set of footprints, we will be confronted. So yeah, we wanted to eliminate these guys quickly, especially the cane-waving heretic, because that person has the ability to heal her party. And then we got this spineless heretic jumping in at the last second. So we're gonna have to weaken him a little. And eventually he'll start running. So it is possible to hit him as he's getting away, which is good for us. Yeah, he keeps saying, "Stay away from me!" But I'm afraid I can't do that. It is actually possible to outrun him, too. Alright. Problem solved. So once he's done, we can now make our way to where the hiding place is. We don't have to worry about any of the enemies attacking us, but we can use some of my jumps to gain forward momentum. And so this is where they're chilling out. In this abandoned farm.
All the heretics.
Jump over the fence and get to where we need to be. We'll go inside. Yeah. It's quiet. Too quiet. And then, here we go! Once again, get rid of the Cane Waver first. Ah! They cast an accuracy reduction on me.
You don't need an accuracy for giant spear.
And now it's just this guy left. Alright, the moment he's down, search the destination spot, basically to confirm where we are. And we have successfully completed this. So something you won't see as we're skipping the cutscenes is that we're going to be seeing the... we're going to be confronting the Heretics leader, a lady known by the nickname of Ice Hearts.
Oh yeah, she melts the hearts of men wherever she goes.
But yeah, it's not the last we're going to be seeing of her. Time to head back to Falcon's Nest and give them a report. And go! And so now we can return to Ishgard. Another instance where it's just faster to warp back to Ishgard proper. And we'll meet up again with Arturel back at the Forton Manor. Now, Arturel's actually the more stubborn of the two sons of Count Edmond, but working with us has helped to soften him up somewhat. So now we're going to have to do some more assistance. Because it turns out our friends Alphinaud and Tataru, who you met at the start of the run, they got into trouble with the authorities, and now they're being accused of heresy, and we now have to try and save them. It should also, as I just realized I pressed for the wrong destination, it should be pointed out why they're with me in the first place. Alphinaud and Tataru are the two people, along with me, who escaped from some really unfortunate circumstances. Our character, at the end of A Realm Reborn, got basically framed for assassination. And Alphinaud and Tataru are the only two members of an organization known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, who we associated ourselves with in A Realm Reborn, who were present at the scene of the crime to actually escape with us. And the remaining members of that organization who were also present basically threw themselves at our attackers in order to ensure that we could escape. They held them off for us, and so now we're here in Ishgard to deal with the problems that are occurring over in this place.
Basically a government-sponsored terrorist cell, in all honesty, okay?
So now we have to save Alphinaud and Tataru, and the only way we can do that is in a duel. A 2v2 duel. Alphinaud will be fighting along with me, but Tataru, because she is incapable of fighting, is going to be basically ask me to be her substitute. So I am coming to the rescue. So our first focus here is to defeat Sir Grino, who accused Alphinaud and Tataru in the first place.
I have my pride.
Now you're going to see Sir Grino try to neutralize Alphinaud with that chain, but we don't have to knock out the chain because we're about to take out Sir Grino.
Got you now.
There we go. Now we can take care of his second Sir Polkran. Just stay out of the middle of this particular attack because, yeah, find yourself in the middle of it and it's instant death. Something that I got to discover while training initially for this run months ago.
Instant to death means nothing for a Dragoon.
More or less. And so yeah, it's just Sir Paul Cran left, and yeah, you may have noticed that they spell Sir with an E instead of an I in this game. Don't ask me why, the bad spelling. Yeah. Yeah, don't ask me why they do the bad spelling, that's just how they program this game. So now that we've claimed victory, Alpha Node and Tataru are free to go, and Lord Hoshafan rewards us with a chocobo that can fly, which, since we're in New Game Plus, we don't need to necessarily worry about that, but we do have to be given the notification that you've been given access to Aether Currents, which allow you to be able to gain the ability to make a chocobo fly. So, now it's time to go back to Fortaunt Manor and speak with Count Enmol.
That's how we should settle all our court disputes in the arena.
With a duel?
It doesn't necessarily have to be a duel at a time, but just in an arena. Some type of event can be.
Which, I'm shocked no one in chat, when I said the word duel, immediately used the Yu-Gi-Oh reference. What's with you people? Have you forgotten so soon?
They need to be banished to the Shadow Realm.
So you played it too, huh?
Of course. Gen 1 only though.
Now you may have noticed I'm actually warping back to where I was previously, because an interesting thing is that some of the Aether Currents are actually closer to the destination that we're going to than the one in front of Fortaunt Manor. So it allows us to save a few seconds by going to an Aetherite that's closer. So it's here, you're not going to be able to get to see it in this run, but we're about to meet the head of state here in Ishgard, Archbishop Thornton VII. He's the guy who runs the place here, just like his Archbishop forebears have done for 1,000 years. Which is how long this city has been at war with dragons.
You'd think after 1,000-year war with a bunch of dragons, they would have learned to kill all the dragons already, especially since they have magic.
Well, then I guess it wouldn't make much of a story, would it?
Yeah, it should be a really short story. You see, children, once upon a time, there were these foul-flying creatures that threatened all the lands. But luckily, we're people, we're intelligent, we can use tools, and we can literally use magic that can obliterate anything in our path. So that's what we did. We took some magic, blew everything up, took over the territory, and then ate the rest. Simple as that.
Ate the rest. Well, when it comes to this game, as far as the ladder is concerned, you're not far off. So now it's time for us to go and start rescuing some of our allies back in the original location of this game, Eorzea. And so we're going to head to one of its 3 hub cities, Limsa, which is the busiest of the 3 hubs, because they conveniently put everything in this city on the main area, in and around the main hub. So we need to speak with the head of state here.
Hive of scum and villainy.
Yes, indeed. So we got to speak with the head of state of this place, Admiral Merweb Loferswen.
Oh god, my eyes. It burns. Hurry up.
Yeah, it should also be pointed out, if you've never played this game before, in the 3 hub cities that the game starts in, all 3 heads of state are women.
But they're all backed by men. Just saying. We know who's really controlling the shots. Especially the old dog, okay? I'm just saying. Look at it. Look at them right there in the corner.
Whoa! Dragoon backflip! So, we're now in...
Behind every strong woman.
So yeah, we're in, now in the town of Revenants told in the territory of Mordona. This is where the Signs of the Seventh Dawn's HQ is currently located. It was originally in another place in A Realm Reborn. And so, they moved it over here in patch 2.1. The person we just spoke to is one of the people who we got to meet in patch 2.2, which included the first introduction of this game, of a new race into the game. It was one that was hinted at through a character known as Lady Yugiri, who is the head of a group of refugees who abandoned this game's version of Doma in order to find sanctuary here. So we're now going to speak with some of them, and we will be connecting with Lady Yugiri in a moment. The race that Lady Yugiri represents is known as the Aura. It was the second human-animal hybrid race to be introduced into Final Fantasy XIV. But unlike the Mikote, which is a human-cat hybrid, the Aura is a human-dragon hybrid. So now, we're here in Thailand to speak with more of the contacts. So yeah, we're here to speak with more of the contacts from Doma, and we're all going to team up to ultimately go and save one of the main people who got into trouble following us being framed for assassination, and that's Raoban Al-Din, who's the general of the army in the city of Ul'dah known as the Immortal Flames. He ended up being taken prisoner, and so now we're going to try and break him out. And he's being held here at a place that is normally a dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV known as Halatali. And the people keeping him here are an organization that was created by Alphanode himself called the Crystal Braves. It was supposed to be a military force that was supposed to supplement the Signs of the Seventh Dawn. But while we were being framed for assassination, we discovered that the Crystal Braves were on the take. So they were getting paid off to turn on us, and so now we are getting our revenge.
For a fee, of course. It's all just good business.
So yeah, there's Yugiri right there. Alright, one down.
Away with you.
Okay, first set's down. Now we gotta go get another set. We're going to ignore the Lancer here and confront the Conjurer first because this is another healer. Just like the cane-waving heretics we confronted earlier. Hopefully we can kill him before he gets his cure off, and we did. And once we've taken this guy out, we can now start taking this shortcut in order to get to where Raoban is. As you can see, he's being held in this force field. And the man who leads the Crystal Braves had the dubious honor of, during the chaos that was going on with our framing for assassination, chopped off one of Raoban's arms. So he's in worse shape than you think he is, if you've never seen this before. So now the Crystal Braves have sprung a trap on us, which basically means that the room is now being filled with poison. So we now have to save ourselves. Oh, not gold member, Spire Shaggy. Well, you have a choice, Mr. Powers. Save the world, or save your girlfriend.
Obviously, those are sensible choices. Save the girl. Get laid. Nothing else matters.
Alright, we've broken through. So now we have to stop this poison mist from spreading. And so now that means going a very long way away. Basically, we're going back to the start in order to find what we need. But along the way, we're also going to have to deal with these slimes.
Somebody's clearly not doing their job. You think about this
Yeah, and something you also notice as well is that they're siphoning health off of us. Yeah, don't be surprised if Alphinaud is a little slow to join us, but he'll make sure to keep us alive. But we also need to keep Ralbon's health alive because this poison, as you can see on the right side of the screen, is draining his health very quickly.
Classic Alphinaud slowing us down yet again. Hurry up, boy.
Yeah, I gotta say before he gets completely choked out. So here's the source of the poison. Gonna go ahead and take this out first. So once it gets broken, which is right now, we can contend with the remaining slimes. There will be one extra slime that's gonna be chasing Alphinaud here in a moment. And we will need to get rid of it too. Yeah, here it comes. I was like, this thing is late. And resume running. So over here is where the key is. You couldn't get access to this particular spot right away. You had to take care of all these other objectives first, then these doors open. So just like before, kill the healer first. In case you're wondering, healers do have attacks as well. I'm also going to try and get the Lancer here to get aggro on me so that I can draw them over here.
They should have no attack their own gun here. Simon can't even do that.
Oh, almost down. There we go. And then load up. This Life Surge ability that I'm using from time to time is exclusive to Dragoon, and it guarantees me a critical hit. So once we've killed everyone over here, we can take the key that's needed to break Ralbon out of the force field cell that he's stuck in. So now it's time to go back and cover the entire length of the field again. Yeah, they do make you cover a lot of ground in this place. As I mentioned before, this dungeon yeah, as I mentioned before, this particular dungeon, Halatali, what we're currently going through is the first part of the hard mode of Halatali. There are quite a number of dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV that have a normal version and a hard version, and this is one such place. So as you can see, Ralbon is now just fine, as far as his vitality is concerned. Time to run back to where Yugiri is taking care of him.
Fun fact, Halatala used to be a sex dungeon where lots of orgies were held.
That's not quite true, but it's actually a place where gladiator duels were held. So now we're gonna have to deal with the leader of the Crystal Braves and his underlings.
They rented it out for a lot of things.
So once again, we're gonna get the healer first. So yeah, we want to, once we get Conjurer out of the way, we're gonna focus on the leader, Ilberd, who has quite a bit of a reputation in Final Fantasy XIV for being a meme boss. Because he's known for one catchphrase in particular. You won't hear it in this particular run, but he is known for it later on when you rematch him. But I can tell you what it is. Slope. That's the word he uses when you use that particular attack with the orange wave. Every time he uses that in your rematch with him, he uses the word slope in that particular dialect, in that particular context, and it made him a very popular meme. within the Final Fantasy XIV community for a while. And in case you're wondering about the remainder of his underlings, you don't even need to worry about them. You just, once you get Ilberd taken down to getting knocked out, that ends the fight right then and there. Also, Slopey! So yeah, the moment Ilberd goes down, that's it. The fight's immediately over. And so now we'll thank the people from Doma for helping us out, and then we'll go ahead and speak with Alpha Node. Before heading to the original home of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn over in Horizon, known as the Waking Sands. So let's go ahead and make our way there. Something I should point out as well, this does not happen in the places within the within Carathis and the subsequent locations, but locations within the areas of Eorzea that are the areas around the 3 hub cities of Final Fantasy XIV, as well as Mordona and the first part of Carathis that you get to visit within A Realm Reborn, you do have the opportunity to make your Chocobo go faster in those places. And so I've obtained specific items that allow my Chocobo to run at maximum speed in these particular areas. If you get them for certain spots, you can make your Chocobo go faster. There are two ways to obtain those particular items that I can get my Chocobo to run at top speed in certain locations. One is through hunting, and the other is through special promotions that Final Fantasy XIV does from time to time, where you get to obtain items that you would not normally obtain, and you can get them through these special Moogles. So we'll head on back to Fort Top Manor because it sounds like there's about to be a dragon attack. And we now have to decide what we're going to do with ourselves.
Arm the Dragonator. Sounds like the best option.
So let's head on inside. And talk to the men of House Fortin. Except we're just going to skip through the cutscene. So, Alpha Node, Tataru, and I are now going to make a decision that we're going to see if we can't settle things on our own accounts with this oncoming dragon attack.
The bestest, most favorite son over right there.
But we're not going to be alone, because we're about to get some help from someone who I like to call my brother. Another Dragoon known as Estenian, who you first meet in the area of A Realm Reborn when you're doing job quests for Dragoon. He actually starts out as your primary antagonist in that particular series of job quests for Dragoon. But then, here in Heaven's Ward, he's your ally.
Stenian has no family. He walks the path alone. Truly a man's man.
Alright, so Estenian has agreed to come and accompany myself and to Alpha Node to go and see if we can't launch a preemptive attack against the dragons and the heretics as well. Now we're going to make our way back to Fort Top Manor to say goodbye to Tataru before we head off to begin our confrontation.
Bye, Tataru. Make us lots of money and, just do something, be useful.
Alright. We said our goodbyes to her. And so now we'll hook up with Estenian over at Falcon's Nest. But before we can do that, we have to meet up with him at the Skysteel Manufactory here in Ishgard. Then we can meet up with him at Falcon's Nest. Right. Away we go. So go ahead and speak with Redwald again to let him know that we're here to help. Again. So he's going to let us know that an expedition party went to go and investigate the heretics' hideout that we discovered earlier, which, as far as this map is concerned, is all the way on the far opposite side of the map, as far north as we can possibly go. And along the way, we will pass by something that you probably didn't notice at first, but yeah, this huge Dragoon statue. That thing is just so freaking amazing.
Gotta say, I don't think I had noticed that a while. Then again, I'm not a Dragoon, so that's probably why.
So we should see the heretics' hideouts coming into view any moment. Yeah, not necessarily easy to see in a blizzard, but now it's coming into view. So yeah, they ran into some issues with cleaning the place. So now we have to do it for them. Yeah, they left us a parting gift of a couple of polar bears. Yeah, a mama and her baby. And we had to kill them both. Sorry, PETA.
Unnecessary killing.
And so now that we've taken care of basically the bodyguards, we now have to go in and start collecting clues to what the heretics are up to next. And so we have to collect 3 of these epistles. Oh, someone's doing the same fight we were just doing. But they're obviously not doing it in the format we're doing it.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, you will sometimes run into people who are doing the exact same quests you're doing. So now we're going to go to the second heretic hideout, located in the Akafa Amphitheater. This is a place that you go to initially in A Realm Reborn when you confront this game's version of Shiva. So it's actually faster to get to the hideout from Falcon's Nest than it is from the hideout that the heretics had. So we're going to go ahead and make our way down here. You know, to fly down into this ravine and find this person. And get ready for another instance battle. So once I have the opportunity to skip cutscene, we will do it. And away we go. So as usual, get rid of the mages first. And it's very legitimate to do so because killing the mages first, for whatever reason, causes more spawns to come faster.
Your guard is down.
Yeah, and NPCs do speak in this fight. So now let's just start eliminating the foes. Some of whom are going to be providing us with a little special surprise. Notably the fact that they can do some metamorphosis. Yeah, they partake of the blood of dragons. This is why they are especially known for being heretics. Now we're going to confront the man who leads this particular set, Louis Stowe. Yeah, we had to kill as many enemies as we could in order to get him to spawn faster. And we want to try and take as much health off of him as he can before he transforms, because once he transforms, his stats increase. So the more health we can get down off of him, the better. Yeah, we've got quite a bit. Yeah, that's the foe I might sink my lance into, says Justinian.
Know your folly.
Alright, that takes care of him. Oh, thanks for doing the dirty work. And now we can just focus on what's left.
Release.
Yeah, still got one more set to confront. Yeah, let the swordsman do his thing. Eliminate the mage. And down he goes. Getting said hello to in chat. Tharia, if you're still watching, can you say hello to Bushi for me? And let him know that I'm in the middle of doing this run. Alright, so now that we've taken care of that particular situation, we're going to get out of the ravine. And we're going to begin a chase to the west. Because now begins the process of trying to find the leader of the heretics. The person we mentioned earlier, Iceheart. But we need to find out how we can flush her out. And to do that, we're going to go to a place that is a camp home to a group called the Convictors.
Just gather all the heretics' bodies up, light them on fire. That'll let her out.
So we'll head on over to the man who runs the place around here. Introduce ourselves. And then we're going to go ahead and speak with Alpha Node. And then start asking people if they know anything that can help us as far as flushing them out. Yeah, we need to speak with three people in particular, and then this person down at the far end. And he's going to let us know that the best way to get the attention of Miss Iceheart is to slay some yaks, because if you, in this game, light yak hides on fire, it creates a purple smoke that lets the heretics know that you want to be one of them.
Because reasons.
Because reasons, yep. Oh, they're being particularly tricky today. Yeah, I do not normally have to travel this far to find my first yak. Oh, it's because someone else is here. Oh no! I have some competition to put up with. Crap. And they probably were not doing the same thing. Oh, here's one. I need to get to this one before my adversary does. No! No! Yeah, that one guy almost claimed them all for himself. Hey, it's one of the it's one of the things that can happen in an MMO, that you'll run into a random competition who's trying to either do the same thing you're doing, as far as a certain objective for killing enemies, or they're doing it for a different reason entirely. But now that we have the yak hides that we need, we're going to go ahead and flush out Ice Heart. And we are going to convince her to come along with us so that we can find her friend, a dragon known as Racevalgar. At least she says that Racevalgar is her friend, even though she's only ever met him once. Yeah, even though she's only ever met him once, she considers him to be her friend. In fact, she considers him to be more than just a friend.
A very wonderful lover.
Our apologies for that there, Frodo. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just a way for me to be able to have my commentator join me, my co-commentator for this run. So yeah, apologies if you keep hearing Discord pings. So now we're out of the snows of Kerthus, and we are now into a brand new territory known as Dravania. And we are starting off in the Dravanian Forelands, where we're going to a settlement known as Tailfeather. But yeah, if you keep hearing Discord pings, our apologies for that. There's nothing we can do about it. Yeah, you'll just have to put up with it, unfortunately. But if I really wanted my co-commentator to be with me tonight because for those of you who got in late, my co-commentator Bordekai was one of the people responsible for setting up a collab where I helped him out to create a Final Fantasy XIV clip video to help people dealing with COVID-19. And so because of that, I really wanted him to be on commentary with me tonight. He has mentioned that he can't be here for the entire run, but I did want him to be here to some extent. Because I'm really grateful that he agreed to join us in commentary this evening. So now we have to begin the process of...
Stop, you're gonna make me blush, man.
Now we have to begin the process of confronting some sentient insects. These are not the same sentient insects that you would see in a game like Hollow Knight. Which, by the way, I played that for the first time last year. It is as tough a game as they say it is. Especially to get the true ending where you beat the Radiants. Yeah, it is... Hollow Knight is as tough as they say it is. So now we gotta continue on. So this is going to be one of the first of 3 instances where I cannot skip a cutscene. And where I am forced to make a choice. So I'm just gonna scroll through the text as quickly as I can. It's also the first instance of the Ishgardians and the Heretics having an ideological clash. Which happens multiple times, where Estenian and Iceheart, who we now know at this point as Assail, are at each other's throats. Oh. Alpha Node? Yeah, this is not the time for that. We need to speak with Assail. And off we go. So yeah, we're ultimately going to that tower, but we can't just waltz right in. We have to go to the front gate first. Yeah, it would be rude of us to just go into the tower right away. We need to introduce ourselves.
Nah, came here to kill dragons, take names, and release the heretics. We got time for pleasantries.
Alright, so now we have more confrontations to come against the sentient insects. Starting with right over here. Yeah, it's imperative that I get off the chocobo right away before I have a situation where once I enter the perimeter, if I'm still on the chocobo, it'll take a few seconds for me to actually get off of him, because there will be a delay on me being able to do so. So I need to get off the chocobo before I breach these purple perimeters and initiate combat. And so now we can go up to the front gate. Speak with the sail again. So it's here where we will meet one of Wraithvalger's children, Vidofnir. And so once we met Vidofnir, they tell us that the insects are giving them a hard time and we need to go confront them some more. And we get more ideological clashing. And so now we'll get back on our chocobo and warp back to Tailfeather, because we need to get some clues on how to help out some of these sentient insects who actually want to help us. Oh, that was actually a very good spawn. So now, in order to get the curry the favor of these good sentient insects, we need to get for them a whole bunch of things that insects would like. In this case, we're going to be getting some flesh off of these nankas.
Tastes like fish.
And so away we go. And we'll give our contribution to these three, who have all gained their own items. And so now we'll give them to the good sentient insects, who are known as the Vath. Their rivals, who we were confronting earlier, are known as the Nath. And so the Vath live here in this little tiny settlement. And the storyteller is their elder. So now begins the process of trying to get more information. This is also another cutscene where we cannot skip and we have to make a choice. So we're ultimately trying to figure out the best way to deal with the Vath's rivals. And then Estenian will speak his piece before we head on to start speaking with the notable members of the Vath who we can get information off of. They all point to this voracious Vath over here. But he wants just a little more of that Nanka flesh. So we're going to go ahead and fetch some more. We only need one more chunk of it this time. And just like that, pow. Like that. So we'll go ahead and take it back. And give it to Mr. Voracious Vath. and speak with Alpha Node. And we're now going to begin the process of confronting the Nath, which will involve Assail and I both going over to confront them. The boys are going to stay behind. Because Assail and I... Yeah, because Assail and I have a special ability that prevents us from getting brainwashed. And so, because we possess this ability, it allows us to be able to confront what we're about to confront without suffering from any side effects. So we're gonna go right over here where all this green smoke is billowing out. And we'll speak with this Nath drone and initiate combat. And get more of their friends to jump in. Now we're basically the meat shield for Assail, who chose to hide behind this tree. But we're basically trying to piss off as much of the Nath as we can, in order to get them to take us to their leader.
I think the best way to get to the leader would just been to start a relationship with the leader's daughter.
Wow. That was dark. Alright, so we killed off a lucky 7. And now we'll do some more confrontation. But that will come after we speak with Assail again. So we're going to just chill out here, wait for her to arrive. And when she does, she's basically going to say to us, okay, we've pissed enough of them, let's surrender and get taken to their leader.
Always funny how they say we, like everyone else actually contributed.
So we gotta skip through a couple of cutscenes here. And get into the lair of the Nath themselves. Open the door. And then that creates a cutscene where we confront the Nath's god, known as Ravana. And Assail thinks it's a good idea for her to try and confront the thing herself. But she fails, and so now it's up to us to try and finish it off. So off we go to confront Ravana, Lord of the Hive, in this fancy coliseum. Yeah, and as you can see, Mr. Ravana is able to wield 4 glowing swords at once. That's not going to stop us. I will say one thing about the music you're currently listening to is that this is something that when my mother was listening to one of my streams one time when I was doing this fight against Ravana, she actually liked it so much that it actually helped her fall asleep. So whenever she needs to fall asleep and she's having difficulties doing so, she just watches the stream where I confronted this guy, and she basically uses it as a lullaby. So Ravana's gonna fly away and is gonna... Alright, so Ravana flies away, does a couple of fancy moves. And so now we're gonna finish him off. And there we go. We got him. There's a lot of more mechanics that you have to do if you're doing this as a normal group. But because we're doing this in New Game Plus and under unsynced rules, we don't have to worry about restrictions.
You don't have to be held back by anyone dying to the mechanics.
So now that we've claimed victory over Ravana, that means that the Nath are basically scrambling to try and take shelter and take safety. So we've now got the opportunity to go back to the boys and let them know that we prevailed. And it is faster to warp to Tailfeather to get back to the Nath's settlement than it is to fly back from where we were. So, yeah, another time-saving technique that we're using here. Go and speak with Alpha Node. And then he moves over here. And now we gotta let...
Look at that time.
Yeah.
About time for me hitting your dusty trail.
Well, it's time for you to go there, Burukai. Well, yeah, it should be pointed out we did start half an hour late, but the fact that you were able to join me for the start of this was very much appreciated. So thanks so much, Burukai, for coming out. For those of you who joined us late, I was part of a collab that Burukai created that did a Final Fantasy XIV montage video for people dealing with COVID-19. So if he's able to post the link in the Discord and it can be posted in chat, if people could go check that video out, it's in Reddit with the title Humanity vs. COVID-19 by Aquando05. So if you guys are able to check that out on Reddit, so yeah, if you guys can check that out on Reddit, please show all the support you can, because we really want that to go viral in a good way. So, now that we are getting ready to head off to our first official dungeon of the run. There was the dungeon we could have faced earlier, but it was a side dungeon. So, yeah, we're skipping that and heading right to the dungeon that is within the context of the main story. So yeah, as Burukai heads on off for the night, we are going to go make our way over to the area over here that allows us to gain access to the dungeon. So we'll touch down a place called Halo. And for those of you looking for Master Chief, sorry, can't help you. And we'll clear off Ravana as our opponent and access the dungeon known as Somal. Alright, so welcome to Somal. Yeah, it's basically a big mountain ascent. I'm gonna try and use some of our abilities as much as possible to progress ourselves further. Well, that is in a very convenient spot. Yeah, the things we want to kill the most are these Lumen Ochus and the Drake Spurs. If we kill just those, we can break down the barriers that block our way. Alright, so already clear. So off we go to confront our first boss, Raskovnik. Das Pinata, comrade! You're about to get beat badly. And down he goes. Alright, let's put a little spin in our step and away we go. So now that we dealt with the sentient Russian plants, let's go ahead into a tunnel here within the mountain. And along the way we are going to have this dragon come in. We won't be able to attack it right away, but it will be spitting fire at us and trying to score with it. So yeah, we just want to make him shoot right at us and miss. So the ability you see in the corner of the screen that I have going there is called Blood of the Dragon. And it allows me to have some stronger attacks available. And we only needed to hit that dragon once in order to force it to get chased away. So now we're going to have to deal with an ice dragon now. He likes to shoot at random spots. And we want to destroy its boulders so it's not melting and shooting off ice sprites. Also, I don't know if you guys can hear the music in game, but this game is... the music in this particular dungeon is my favorite in this run because it's most like Game of Thrones. Try and use all the tricks of the trade to my advantage. Can I get this off? Nope. Well, it's alright. So now we have to deal with Meath here, who has quite the fancy penchant for slimes. And whenever he attacks the slime normally, you either have to bunch up as a party or split in order to mitigate damage as much as possible. So now we're out of the tunnel and continuing on our way. And we force this big guy to come out. And so as that's happening, we're now going to have the two dragons that we dealt with earlier do what they were doing before. And then once we've gotten them out of the way, then we're going to have one of the tougher fights of the run. Alright, they're down. So let's go ahead and confront the boss of Somal. We have to deal with Tiamon here. And hope that we can outbeat her rage. Did we? Ow! That is one of the hardest rages to not lose out to, because she just has... It really is one of the toughest ones to get, regardless of what job you're on. But yeah, when her wings start glowing, she's invincible, and you have to disable her wings. But yeah, it is one of the harder enrages to beat in the run. It has a very low success rate of killing her before she gets it off. But if you do get it off, then well done. So now we're in what's known as the Churning Mists. And in this particular location, we stumbled upon an area that is home to something that we were not expecting to see. And so Alphanode spotted it, and so now we're trying to see if we can't find it. And we have to go to check out these various destinations. We want to check out the destinations specifically, not the etheric disturbances. And Estelle here will say one of the funnier things when you talk to her, that she thinks this place is really beautiful, and when we look confused by what she says, "Why do you stir me so? My heart's not really made of ice." Yeah, definitely one of the funnier lines said in this run. And finally, the destination over here. So now we have to port to Alpha Node. And now we're going to ask for some outside assistance. And to get that outside assistance, we're heading off to the city of Gridania, another one of the hub cities from the Realm Reborn expansion. So upon arrival, we are going to take a visit to the Conjurer's Guild. And when we arrive, we'll speak with Alpha Node. And then head on over to this Silent Conjurer who will allow us to meet the head of state of Gridania, the Elder Seed Seer, Kane Senna, who is going to personally take a trip to where we were before in Mogholm. Yeah. If the name of the location where we were just a moment ago is any indication, then you know what to expect here. So let's head on back inside the area we were previously. And speak with the Stenian. And once we let him know that the gang's all here and that the Elder Seed Seers arrived, that allows us to get to meet some giant Mughals. And this is their chieftain, Moglin, who thinks that our character's name is really weird and that it should have a Mog pronoun in the name, just so that they can be satisfied by it. So, per order of the chieftain, we have to go take on 3 various tasks as instructed by 3 of his underlings. The first involves us going to pick some plants, known as Cloud's Breath. And you can only take on these quests one at a time. You cannot do all 3 of them at once. And then we'll go pick the bit of Cloud's Breath over here. And then we'll head on over and get the last bits over next to this tree. Also, what do you think of this sunset that we're currently experiencing? Oh. Yeah, come on, get the Cloud's Breath. Alright, so now we'll take it back to the Moogle that needs it. And we'll turn it back over to Moghan here. And now for task number 2, courtesy of Mug. You'll also notice this Moogle named Kuplo Kop. Kuplo Kop is actually a Moogle that can be found within A Realm Reborn, and is an essential Moogle in the fact that they help you to confront one of the more notorious bosses of this game, of really huge Moogle known as Good King Moggle the 12th. So the second task we have to take care of here involves fighting these things. And their daddy. So now that they're all taken care of, back the way we came. And we'll let Mug know that those Archaeosaurs have been taken care of. And now over to Mogwin, who will let us know that they have created some artwork, but they can't remember where it is. So now we're going to speak to some of the other Moogles and see if they know where it possibly could be. But as it turns out, if you speak with them normally, without racing through the text, some of them have a particular interest in that particular piece of artwork, and they like to have it all to themselves. And we'll now go let Mogwin know what we heard and what we learned. So now, we're going to go out through the top of the settlements. Because, yeah, surprise, there's a top hole to this place. I guess it allows the sunlight to come in. So the painting that was created by Mogwin is on this little pebble. Yeah, how did they create such an elaborate painting on a little pebble? Well, you'll just have to ask them. And so now dive bombing back in through the hole to let Mogwin know that, hey, we've found your painted pebble. So with the tasks completed, let's go back to the chief. And he tells us we need to get all of our friends to come over so that we can have judgment passed on us, quote unquote. So yeah, we're gonna go from right to left because I found it to be the fastest way to go about this. Yeah, we don't even need to pull out the chocobo for this one. And finally Alpha Node. So now that we got the band back together, let's speak with the chief again. Yeah, the chief has, when you tell him, hey, we're all done, it turns out that the tasks that the Mughals set for us had ulterior motives behind them. But we now have received access to this one thing that we need in order to get our meeting with Race Valgar. And we will now begin the journey to go and meet him. So yeah, Cell is now going to finally be reunited with a friend that she's only ever met once, but who she considers to be even more than a friend. So along the way, we are required to go into some more purple perimeters in order to fight off more enemies. Yeah. Since that lightning sprite was in the way, I was like, okay, I might as well just use my AoE jump attack. Just because I can. Now let's go ahead and get the remaining dragons over here. And continue. So yeah, we're ultimately heading towards where that structure is that's glowing. It's definitely one of the coolest things in the game. Also, if you're wondering about why I'm riding on a white chocobo, white chocobo is a special chocobo that you can only get if your character gets married. And you pay for the privilege of getting married with real money. Because yeah, there are a few options that your character can get married to another character. You can get a free option, but you really get nothing out of it other than the tuxedo or dress that you choose. Or you can choose to pay for it with real world money, and you can get a chocobo as well as more dresses and tuxedos. As well, any guests that come to your wedding get some party favors. So Alpha Node is going to get some campfire wood for us. But we need to make sure he's safe, so Estenian's encouraging us to go and deal with more random scrubs. Including the sentient tree. Now since I use my high jump, if I'm fast enough to get over here, I should be able to get rid of the next sentient tree by using my Mirage Dive, which I did just in time. Yeah, if you can get that to work out, it's definitely a good time save. And so now I'll speak with the Stenian to complete this quest. Alpha Node then returns with the firewood. And with that taken care of, we now will go ahead and take on the quest that allows us to meet with Wraithvalgr. So let's go ahead and warp on over to Zenith. And this quest also serves as the end of Part 1 of New Game Plus, here in Heaven's Ward. It basically amounts to Assail, aka Iceheart, telling Wraithvalgr, "I'm the reincarnation of Shiva, and I love you." And Wraithvalgr's like, "Really? Don't make me laugh." And then she says, "But all the things I did with the heretics, I did it for you!" And she's like, and Wraithvalgr's like, "You're no better than the people who betrayed us and caused this war to start 1,000 years ago." So basically rips the heart out of Assail, and is basically, she then basically has her Zero moment where she's like, "What am I fighting for?" So, since her heart has been broken by Wraithvalgr, we just abandon her and move on to Plan B, which is to confront the most fearsome of all dragons, Nidhogg. But along the way, we gotta fight more dragons. So on this beautiful Star Night, we gotta go to where Nidhogg is based out of. Yes, we gotta go all the way to a place known as the Eyrie. And it's spoilers, it's gonna be our next dungeon. But we can't go there right away, as you will soon find out. Yeah, in order to get officially into the area itself, we need to pick up a new mode of transportation. Something that we do not currently have within the story, but that is going to get made for us. And so now, next wave of dragons. Yeah, in this instance we have to wait for another dragon to appear before we are free to go. And so we're off. So go ahead and hook with the Stenian. And he's going to show us what the area looks like. And so once that's taken care of, we're now going to begin the process of getting our requisite mode of transportation. So he's just going to chill out here for a while. And as for us, we're going to head back to Ishtard. So we want to make our way to the Skysteel Manufactory, because that's where Saint Rainette's Forum is. Yeah, because we're now trying to find where Sid is. But surprisingly, he's not in the place that's the most obvious. So the journey begins to find where exactly he went. And to do that, we have to be reunited with Loverboy and his preteen wingman. So Manlan lets us know that we have to go to where the airship landing is. And that's going to be over at the Athenium Astrologicum. Yeah, but it's basically where we went in order to initially go with the Manlan to head to the Sea of Clouds initially. So Sid is going to be hiding right around here. And there's Biggs and Wedge. This game's version of Biggs and Wedge. They're his assistants in this game. Yeah, they're Biggs and Wedge in Final Fantasy XIV are Sid's right-hand men, basically. And they do a lot of fancy work with machinery. Because this Sid runs a, basically runs an engineering firm known as Garland Ironworks. And Wedge has a thing for giving fancy little nicknames to pieces of technology that he comes across. So they let us know about what's going on and what they're going to create for us in terms of how to get to the Eyrie. And meanwhile, we're going to go and head on back to the Eorzean territory. We're going to go back to Horizon. Also, in case you're wondering about that information on the right side of the screen, Ishgardian Restoration, it's a thing that is currently going on in Final Fantasy XIV that involves reconstruction of Ishgard itself in order to create a brand new residential area that's going to be available for players to purchase houses. There are other places like that in-game within the 3 hub cities of Eorzea, as well as an area that's... I mentioned Doma earlier. This game's version of Doma, not far from there, is another similar location. So we want to go back to the Waking Saints to reunite with Raubon, because the Taru had information on what happened when we were framed for assassination, and the people who orchestrated it. And so we have to... Oops. And so we have to go and confront the lady-in-waiting of the person who we quote-unquote assassinated. But we need information on her whereabouts. So we walk back to Horizon to make it a shorter trip to get to our next destination, a settlement known as the Silver Bazaar. So now, we had to go across the bridge because it's faster and easier to get to where we need to go, because over here is just a huge canyon. We don't want to go in the canyon or go through it. See, our ultimate destination, the Silver Bazaar, is all the way down at the far southwest corner of this part of the map. And so I'll go ahead and speak with the required locals. Yeah, a total of 3 of them. So now we gotta go speak with the lady-in-waiting, Mariel. Although, when we do go ahead and speak with her, we then end up getting into a situation where you cross paths with the person who was responsible for ensuring that Alpha Node's army, the Crystal Braves, was on the take. And when we confront him, he begins the process of trying to show contrition by giving us a way to show that the person who we quote-unquote assassinated was not actually assassinated. They were simply put to sleep, but put into a really prolonged slumber. So now we're going into the city of Ul'dah, which is where the head of state reigns here, the person who we supposedly assassinated. And we're going to go ahead and wake them up. Yeah, of course, since this is a speedrun, we're not going to show who we assassinated, but rest assured that what we have brought is going to bring her around. Her name is Nanamo Ul'Namo, and has the title of Sultana here in Ul'dah, which kind of makes sense since Ul'dah is located in a desert. So now that she's been brought around, we are now going to go and deal with the remaining Crystal Braves who chose to not sell out. By going into the modern headquarters of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, the Rising Stones. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and talk with them, the ones who didn't sell out, and say, you no longer have anything to do with us, you're free to go to do whatever you want. And they say, no, we're not leaving you that easily. So they agree to stay on board. Not as Crystal Braves, but they still stay on board. So now that that issue's been resolved, and the Sultana has been roused from her slumber, we're back in Ishgard. And we will now get the opportunity to, in a moment, get the mode of transportation we need to access our next dungeon. So Sid let us know that Estenian returned from the Eyrie, or the area near the Eyrie. And we're now going to go ahead and hook up with him over at Fortop Manor. There he is. So he says, yeah, now that we're both here, we might as well go let the commander of the Temple Knights here in Ishgard, basically this city's police, Sir Emmerich, know about what exactly we've been up to. So yeah, we did come back. We were here a couple of times earlier. But now we're going to speak with him again. And now that we have, we can speak with the Estenian. And we will now get ready to head off to our dungeon. So we'll return to the Skysteel Manufactory and prepare for departure. So head back on up. Yeah, Sid won't be in the manufactory this time. He'll be over here with Biggs and Wedge's newest creation of mode of transportation, the Mana Cutter. And it's from here we can go right on to fly off to the Eyrie. So now that we're here, we're going to go ahead and confront the meanest dragon that there is in this game. But it's going to be a long way to get to him, though. So, not surprisingly, we are going to be confronting dragons here in all shapes and sizes. This one endured. Well, it's alright. We can just do that. Yeah, there are ways to get their attention a little more easily. And we'll take our opportunity to get to where we need to go. Yeah, it's okay if I have some enemies chasing after me. And in this case, I can just barge on through. And that enemy will still chase me, but it's no big deal. Alright, so I'm actually glad he, I was about to say I was actually glad that he pushed me back, but that didn't quite work out the way I'd hoped. Because yeah, depending on what happens, if you can lure him towards where the exit of that battle area is, on his dying breath, he can actually push you through the barrier. And save you a couple of seconds, but yeah, he was a little reluctant this time around. So now we're gonna run, and we're gonna have these babies follow us. We don't want to get the slumbering dragon's attention, which can happen if you either stand too close or you kill its babies while you're in range, because the babies, when they die, they cry out in pain, and if that happens, that will cause the mama dragon to wake up and say hello, and you don't want that. So yeah, there's their parting gift. 2, 1, get sprint now. Alright, get these babies to follow me. Yeah, some of them like to be conveniently located a little too close for comfort. Yeah, a couple of them just endured. They just held out, and I can't advance until they all died, so not much I could do about that. So now we have to deal with this dragon here, who spews poison on the field from time to time, and when they do, they get stronger. And you may have noticed that there were some bombs that were also spawning on the field. Those bombs actually eat the poison and weaken the dragon, which is good news for you. So we need to kill all the enemies before we're allowed to advance by seeing these pillars fall. And so now begins the process of getting through, and more pillars will fall. In case you're wondering, it's actually impossible to get crushed by these things. I have tried multiple times to see if it is possible by having access to a full sprint, and it's just not possible. What are you waiting for, dude? Come on. Yeah, you took a sweet time to die there. 3, 2, 1, and sprint. Oh, that one's being a little too far away. And so now we're gonna take them all into this big arena, as it were. And so yeah, we only need to kill certain enemies in order to get through. And so now it's time for our epic confrontation against Nidhogg. This is another battle that, if we don't kill Nidhogg fast enough, we will lose a lot of time. Oh, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it! Yes! Whoa. That was a little too close for comfort there, but we got it. You know, my buttons were not responding, and I'm like, no! Thankfully, we prevailed. You can't kill Nidhogg outright, you can only weaken him, which allows Estenian the opportunity to finish him off, which is why you can see, in the midst of Estenian confronting Nidhogg, his armor was stained completely blood red. So now, it's time for us to let Assail know that, yeah, we beat Nidhogg, and we gave you even more reason to hate us. But there's a thing that we tell Assail that not even she knew about when we reunite with her. And it turns out that Wraithfogger was holding back on information. So once we get the truth out of Mr. I was about to say, why is it taking so long for the cutscene to go out? Yeah, because of that, this yeah, it's game giving me issues right now. It takes so long for the cutscene to go out that I ended up accidentally canceling. So once we get the full truth out of Wraithfogger, we're about to get word that Ishgard is under attack, but not by the dragons, but by Assail's army of heretics who were able to breach Ishgard. And so Estenian, Assail, and I all go back to Ishgard, and when the heretics see that Assail is with us, they all think, oh yeah, we have Iceheart now with us, there's no way we can lose. Only for her to say, no, put down your arms, we're surrendering. So that basically ends the threat of the heretics right then and there. So we've dealt with the dragons and their leader Nidhogg. We've now dealt with the heretics and Iceheart, aka Assail. So that leaves only one group of adversaries left. And you might remember we've been talking about how things work here in Ishgard as far as the law is concerned, and how the government is run, and how people are expected to live their lives. So we get a big, massive meeting here in Fortaunt Manor, where Sir Emmerich basically says, we're gonna go ahead and confront the Archbishop to see what he knows about everything. Which basically ensures that he will get in trouble for it. And on top of that, it's also brought to our attention that it turns out that there were some things that were happening that were, shall we say, rather dubious. Because we ultimately end up discovering that the Archbishop has a dirty little secret. And as it turns out, the Archbishop, before he became the Archbishop, gave a special gift to a certain lovely lady, and that certain gift turned out to ultimately become Sir Emmerich. And if you're thinking what I think you're thinking, the answer is yes. So, since we know that Sir Emmerich is basically screwed, we now have to try and rescue him. But we're not going to go to his subordinates to try and figure out a way to save the guy. We're asking people here in the slums of Ishgard. And we want to, in particular, find someone who runs a mercenary organization in these slums, who goes by the moniker the Mongrel. So we have to do whatever we can to try and find out information about this particular individual. And see if they and their mercenary friends are willing to help us out in saving Sir Emmerich. And so now begins a series of fetch quests, and also giving stuff to other people. So we're going to go ahead and head on back to the Forgotten Knights, the pub, the tavern here in Ishgard. Yeah, didn't mention why the Forgotten Knight is here in the first place. But yeah, that's why it's here. And so now we will start doing fetching and using the fruits of our labor to give things to other people. So, first destination is the Jewel Croisier. And we need to go and get some herbs from a hulking hunter, who's conveniently located at the far end of the Jewel Croisier. We'll go ahead and speak with him and get what we require. So he turns it over, and he's on his way. So in this instance, it's easier for us to once again just warp back to the hub. And then give the herbs to Gibraltar. So we'll make sure that he gets them, and then he can use the herbs that we've obtained to create some mulled wine that we're going to be giving to people in exchange for information on the mongrel. And it begins. So the first person we need to speak to, it's a lot faster for us to find this first person if we simply run over here to get to the other side of Ishgard, since it's so conveniently located close by. And this person is also located conveniently close by to the transition area. And we'll once again use our warp to get back faster. Yeah, I know. I can't help it because of how we had to set this up for this run. Like, I wish there was a way to turn that off. But there's nothing I can do about that. But yeah, we were having... For those of you who weren't aware, we were half hour late starting this run because we were having setup issues. But thankfully we did get them all resolved. So we're going to go ahead and send off some more wine to some more people, who will give us more information about the mongrel. And then we got to go back to Gibraltar again. Yeah, in this case, there's not much difference between us warping from here and warping from the main aetheryte. And back to Gibraltar again. So basically, we get the origin story on the mongrel, and it turns out that the mongrel was also brought into the world through incest. Basically, like Sir Emmerich was, but in this instance, it was a lord of the city in Ishgard here, and he had an affair with one of his maids, And it turns out that the maid got more than she bargained for, and when the Lord found out about it, he said, "I'm kicking you to the curb." So yeah, this part of the story really covers a lot of incest. So now we want to speak with Alpha Node. We'll give him the information that he needs. And now it's time to start finding the mongrel. But before we can, we have to find Tataru because she's gone missing. And so we'll go ahead and try and find her around here. But she's nowhere to be found, so now we're going to go over here. And look over in this spot. That will trigger a cutscene where we do find the mongrel. And so now that we've found her, we need to go ahead and have a proper conversation with her. Yeah, she goes by the name of Hilda. And so now we want to speak with Hilda back in the Forgotten Knights. And so let's warp on back. And we'll have our conversation. Under the guise of another round of fighting. Unfortunately, I have a hard time finding raid people to team up with. And yeah, there's not much I can do about that. So our first order of business here in this battle is to deal with another one of the Knights of the Heavens Ward, Sir Shadowbringers. Not to be confused with the Care Bear Share Bear. So yeah, we can just focus on Shadowbringers himself until such a time as reinforcements come in. And yeah, I don't mind standing in fire, it's not going to hurt me that much. AoE, that can hurt me though. So now I'm waiting for more reinforcements to arrive, including another healer. Yeah, which will be coming right on the corner. Now take this! And back to Sir Shadowbringers. Yeah, in case you're wondering about my item level, currently it's at 488. This includes having all of the level 490 gear that's currently available from Yulmore, as well as the 485 Dragoon resistance weapon. Just in case you guys are wondering about my current equipment setup. Yeah, because I'm sure there are quite a few people who have played the game enough to probably be aware of some of the things that are available in it. Yeah, we don't have to worry about any of the reinforcements, just focus on Sir Shadowbringers. Yeah, even Lord Hoshafon comes to help out. Make it clear. Well, yeah, there's one more Courageant coming in, but they're not going to make it in time because we've defeated Shadowbringers and his crew. Boom! Yeah, kaboom! Yeah, we had an explosive victory here. And so now that we have the cooperation of the Mongol, as well as the second in command of the Temple Knights, Suremberg's second in command, Lucia, we're now going to begin the process of going to our next dungeon. So we'll head on, warp on over to the Tribunal. And begin the process of making our way into our next dungeon. So in order to get to where we need to go, yeah, we're basically going where we met the Archbishop. But it's going to be a much different place. A much different place. It's going to be known as the Vaults, is where we're going. Yeah, so not surprisingly, since we went to meet the Archbishop here, this place is in essence a giant cathedral. And so not surprisingly, organ music will be supplemented throughout. And away we go. Let's see if I can get a quick jump on the pack. And then encourage all these guys to come over here. Ah, he endured. Yeah, that does happen sometimes, and you can't do anything about it. Alright, Deacon, I will get you to come my way. I will have all these knights chase after me. Alright, there we go. And so now it's time for our first confrontation against the Knight of the Heavens Ward here. And this is Sir Adelfell that we're confronting. Yeah, you might not have caught it right away, but yeah, it turns out these Heaven's Ward Knights have some holy power on their side. Yeah, I'm trying to chase him down, but it's not easy. But down he goes. So yeah, turn it back to normal. And we don't have to worry about him for a while. Alright. First of the Heaven's Ward Knights down. 2 to go. So we're gonna head on over this way, but we're gonna get a sneak attack from these guys. Yeah, if you want my little gift, go right ahead. Yeah, we'll get all these guys to follow me over here to where these 2 giant suits of armor are going to become sentient. Ah, he held out. Yeah, as we get higher in experience level, we will be having more situations where some of these enemies will be able to endure see, I'll pull these guys over here. And then we'll get Sir Grinno, who we confronted earlier, to fight us. But it turns out Sir Grinno is actually He-Man. Because you certainly do. Yeah, he fancies himself to be He-Man, so yeah, let's go ahead and take him down. Yeah. Hey, He-Man, where's Battle Cat? Where's Man-at-Arms? Where's Orko? None of them were here to help you out. Yeah, he tried to be He-Man, and he failed. Maybe he needed a little She-Ra in his life. Alright, on to our next section. And then we'll run over here. And we're gonna get this priest to... Yeah, we're gonna get this priest to sacrifice himself by summoning a whole bunch of gargoyles. So again, we'll bunch up. Ah, they endured. Ah, more endurance. Yeah, these guys here in the vault are really holding tough tonight. And so now we get to deal with Sir Shadowbringers again, now in his enhanced form. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you are probably drawing parallels right now to games like Breath of Fire 2, where they have this well-known thing that is considered holy and sacred, but it turns out it's very dark and evil. So now, in order to beat Sir Shadowbringers in rage, we need to put out all this holy flame.
This shall be a mercy.
Yeah, that's what you claim, but that's not what's gonna happen. The feeling is mutual, Sir Shadowbringers, which is why I'm gonna get rid of you in a moment. Yeah. Go down! And he's out. So, with the vault now cleared, that then leads to one of Final Fantasy XIV's more notorious cutscenes. And once it has occurred, there's a lot of sadness that takes place. Yeah, but basically, if you're familiar with what happens in Final Fantasy VII to Aerith, a similar thing happens here in 14. So after breaking the bad news over at Fort Tom Manor, we now have to move on to our next objective. And so away we go, back to meet up with Sir Emmerich, who is now free. And we also forced the Archbishop and its Heaven Ward Knights to basically escape. So yeah, they're on the lam now, and we have to track them down. So Sir Emmerich will speak with us, and we'll go into our last cutscene that we cannot skip. Yeah, this is another instance where we have to do a forced choice. And so after everyone speaks their piece, we'll go ahead and get ready to hunt down the Archbishop. And we'll be accompanied by Sir Emmerich's second-in-command, Lucia, for this one. And so we gotta head back to the Sky Steel Manufactory to once again speak with Sid. Yeah, so we'll hook up with Sid once again because he's gonna furnish us with what we require to make our next move. And after speaking with Elfino to start our next quest, away we go. And so back to the Astrologicum to get to the airship landing. And we'll speak with Sid once again, accompanied by Biggs and Wedge. And we'll tell Wedge that we're ready for departure. So we're heading back to the Sea of Clouds, because this is where the Archbishop was heading. And so now, for our next objective, we're going to once again involve ourselves in something that we haven't seen for a while, which is animation canceling. So we have to go right to where this glowing dot is, and get the animation canceling on the lookout emote, which takes quite a long time to do. Yeah, surprise, I have multiple chocobos. Yeah, including a chubby chocobo that is really well known. So now we have our first confrontation with one of the more primary antagonists of the Final Fantasy XIV story arc as a whole, the Guardian Empire. And these guys are basically, they are people, like we've of course seen what the people in Ishgard are all about and their leaders. The leaders of the Guardian Empire are the exact opposites. They don't believe in religion, they only believe in science and technology that it can only be used to oppress others. Something that we get to see very frequently. So after we get that next spawn to come out, we'll get the heater down. Yeah, you can see these guys have their own fancy technology, and in case you're wondering if you've never played this game before, they have this game's version of Final Fantasy VI's Magitech armor. So yeah, this is a game that Final Fantasy XIV does a lot of references to previous Final Fantasies, and certainly one of the most notable is the inclusion of the Magitech armor from Final Fantasy VI. Alright, we need to go and help out this Birdman here, this Vanu. We did see them earlier on in the run, but they were the bad guys, but this one's a good guy. Yeah, Alphinaud doing his best to draw attention away from us. Oh, I was about to say, I'm having difficulty targeting the giant gunship here, but turns out Alphinaud and his carbuncle had the task taken care of. So now this nice Vanu is going to encourage us to visit his settlement. Alright, so we're going to go to OK Zundu. So even though we went into the town itself, it was faster to warp there and go to where Lonu Vanu is currently. And now we'll go ahead and speak with this chief. Oh, where did he go? You know, I was getting a little hasty there. Then we'll speak with Lonu Vanu again. And we will go ahead and show off our last instance of animation canceling. Because he's supposed to bow to this guy here. Well, while we're in the midst of our dismounting emotes, when we're in the midst of doing that, we can press the bow emote that we needed to do. And that does the animation canceling for us. So Alpha Node will be on his way. And we're going to explain to him and to the Vanu Vanu about something that's been giving these guys a hard time. Yeah, there's a being out there known as Bismarck. And he's similar to Ravana. And so now we're going to have to defeat that version too. Yeah. The chubby chocobo here can only be encouraged to move as food is flung in its face, which in this case, in order to make it fly, is a piece of cake. Because apparently it has a penchant for sweets. Alright, time to go back over here and select the Limitless Blue. And Discord apparently approves. Alright. This is going to be the toughest fight of the run because I'm on Dragoon and we don't DPS as hotty as other jobs. There's one part of this fight in particular that we're going to be having a real good challenge against. So we have to force Bismarck to body slam the island that we're on. Yeah, we're on a big chunk of rock that's being towed by Sid's airship here. We wanted to encourage the Vanu Vanu, the bad Vanu Vanu, to come out and play. So now we have to wait for Bismarck to launch his next attack. Before he body slams the island again. So now we have to activate these dragon killers, which are basically going to serve as harpoons to reel Bismarck in. Now we have to wait until Bismarck is properly pulled in before we can start to attack. I want to try and do the best I can to build up as much DPS for what's about to happen next. Alright, go. Because yeah, once Sosanawa and Usanawa get on the field, if they're standing right next to each other, they give each other huge defense buffs. And we're now basically in a race against the clock. Because if we don't kill these two fast enough, then Bismarck is going to perform his enrage, and we're basically screwed and we have to start over. Then there's also the issue of my health, which I do have a backup as far as keeping myself alive is concerned. But yeah, suffice it to say, this is a very, very difficult fight. Because since these two can basically keep each other alive and delay the inevitable for as much as possible, it makes this fight really hard. But once we get Sosanua down, his friend is Cake. Alright, he's down. Now we can finish off his friend. Eventually. Yeah, this battle throws a lot of things your way. Water bombs, tornadoes. They just throw the whole 9 yards at you when it comes to Mother Nature in this fight. Alright. The 2 sea serpents / sky serpents are down. Now, here comes Bismarck's Enrage, which will not hurt as much as it would have normally. And we kept ourselves alive. So now we have to fight off more of these guys. Now, it's not the end of the world if I get hit, but if I do fall off, that is a disqualification and I will have to start over. Yeah, if you can fall off in this fight. So now we have to chill out for a while once again. As Bismarck ceases control of the clouds and gets these vapor bubbles to appear. We don't want to attack the bubbles, they're going to serve as basically lightning rods for the damage that Bismarck's about to unleash. So we don't want to attack these things. Even though they're continuing to provoke us. Alright, so now we can activate our Dragon Killers again. And once again reel in Bismarck. So now his backside is exposed. And we got him. So the big reason why we had to fight Bismarck in the first place is because he had a special treasure that we were trying to obtain. But it turns out, the Archbishop had called in a favor and prevented us from getting it. So now that we've unfortunately failed in our pursuit of getting what we needed out of Bismarck, we're going to go back to OK Zundu, where we discover that the Guardian Empire, who we confronted earlier, has tried to lay waste to this place, but we stopped them with help from Lucia. And so now we'll have to go back to Sid before we can advance further. So yeah, we also get this beautiful sunset to accompany us. Oh, I was about to fly right over it. So yeah, we then head up onto the airship and we get to hear Lucia's origin story along the way. So we were hoping to try and go where the Archbishop was going, but it turns out without the special treasure that the Archbishop snatched, we can't get in. So we need to find another way to get in. So we'll go ahead and hustle back on over to the Forgotten Knights. And we'll let Sremberg know what we need. And what we're planning on doing. And heck, even Count Enmon is here. Now we have to head on back to the Forgotten Knight itself, because we need to speak with Lotaru. Hey there, Tataru. Yeah, she seems happy to see and excited to see us again, but then when we tell her the bad news, it's like, oh no! However, she also has some interesting news to tell us. Because remember earlier on in the run, we mentioned how Alphinaud and Tataru's friends from the Signs of the Seventh Dawn threw themselves at our pursuers in order to ensure we could escape after we were framed for assassination? Well, it turns out we may have information on how to bring one of them back. And while I was describing that, I realized that I needed to warp here to Ul'dah, so we're back in this city again. And we'll go ahead and speak with Pippin, the Raubon's adopted son. And he tells us where we need to go in order to find clues on the whereabouts of one of our lost friends. So it's fastest for us to take the fast travel out of here to go to the Gate of Nald. And upon our arrival, we will head off to our next destination. We're basically going where our exit point was for when we escaped from being chased. So go ahead and speak with Oriange, who was the only member of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn who is not present at the scene of the crime. And he points us in the direction of going back to Gridania again. So we'll be once again calling for a favor from the Elder Seedseer. So we'll go back inside. Yeah, before we didn't actually get to see where the Elder Seedseer resides, but this time we do. And it is a very beautiful place. Yeah, the Lotus Stand is one of the most beautiful locations in the game by far. So now we need to find a family member of the person we're trying to find specifically. So to do that, we are going to warp to what's known as Miketo's Amphitheater, which is a popular gathering spot for some of these special events that take place throughout the year in Final Fantasy XIV. If you've never played this game before, every year they have a variety of events that's centered around the various holidays and the seasons. And most of those events take place at Miketo's Amphitheater here in Gridania. So it is a very popular location. So we need to speak with Mitra, and we need to ask her for help in terms of bringing back her sister, Y'shtola. So with Mitra's assistance, and that of the Elder Seedseer and her siblings, who you did not get to see, we were able to bring Y'shtola back. In a very interesting way, I might add. So having successfully brought Y'shtola back, we are now going to go and get for her some new clothes. Yeah, we need to provide her with a change of wardrobe, so we're going to go to the Leatherworkers Guild and to the Conjurers Guild in order to get these particular items. Yeah, Gridania and the forest that it is located in, the Black Shroud as a whole, is just really nice and serene. definitely worth spending some good quality time here. Yeah, someone wanted to make themselves known in a certain way. So now we're gonna go ahead and on over to the Conjurers Guild. So the Conjurers Guild proper is inside this particular cave. And then we need to go speak to the guildmaster who runs the place. And this is another one of those instances where it's just faster to warp back to the main aetheryte in the city rather than run back. So let's return to Tataru. And turn over the clothes so that she can give them to Ashtola. And there she is. So now that we've reunited with her, it's time to head back to Ishgard. Hey there, Alphanode. Yeah, so Alphanode and Ashola will be accompanying me to our next destination as Tataru continues to do her thing here in Ishgard. So we're heading off to Tailfeather again. So we need to head to the gate of the town in order to speak with Ashtola. And so now we're going to do some more sequence breaking. Yeah, first time since the start of the game that we're doing sequence breaking. But we're warping to a city called Idleshire. And then we're going to leave it immediately. And that forces a cutscene to occur. And it causes us to appear right at the southeast corner of these hinterlands that we're entering. And then we can just warp back into Idleshire, and that'll force the quest line to continue. Yeah, some of these sequence breaks, there aren't that many, but they are really cool when you can do them. So this place, Idleshire, it basically was an abandoned town, and then this game's version of goblins took it over and made it their own home. And they actually gave it the name Idleshire. So they need help with clearing some crap out. It's one of the reasons why I have a macro on standby, because we need to say a certain set of words in front of these abandoned golems. So once we use our macro to say knots and crosses in front of the golem, it just falls apart. And we need to do that again. Yeah, obviously all this stuff was planned ahead of time and prepared ahead of time. However, with macro here, with the way that we're using it, we cannot do animation canceling to make it work. We can't use it like we could the emotes earlier. Now that we've taken care of the golems, we'll go ahead and speak with Slowfix again, who runs the goblin settlement here. So now Slowfix wants to have us contend with some of the rivals that they have here in this particular area. Yeah, we want to go out the eastern gate because it's faster to do it this way because of where you spawn. Will actually put me closer to where I need to go, which is going to be down at the far corner of the map. Yeah, they do have some quests where they make you travel a long way in order to get to where you need to be. So the reason why we're coming all the way over here is to, as it says in the quest line, search for Slowfix's friend. And this friend is actually someone who you meet in A Realm Reborn 2, known as Brayflox Alltox. And the reason why you meet up with Brayflox in A Realm Reborn is because it's part of a series of fetch quests that you have to do. You have to go to Brayflox's long stop in order to find some very specific items as part of that series of fetch quests. So now we're going to have to put up with all these bombs here. Also going to try and ditch some of these idiots. Yeah, you can't clear them all away, unfortunately, but thankfully because my HP is so high, I'm perfectly fine. And the rest of the party isn't damaged too badly either. Now we can start dealing with the riprap. Do away with him.
Ha! Aoife, to me.
Yeah, come on over this way.
Have at you.
And so yeah, with the Shola's little magic trick that finishes the rest of them off. So now that that's taken care of, we can then return to Idleshire. And give Slowfix the good news. Yeah, we did it. Your friend is safe and sound. And now it's time for us to move on and head off to our next destination, provided we don't clip into fences. So we need to speak with the Godwatch to say, hey, can you take down this wall? Because if you don't, we can't advance further. So we'll now head off to the western part of the hinterlands. Yeah, all the while we're dealing with all this driving rain. Let's seeing a lot of random notifications popping up on my laptop right now. And, like, I don't know where they're coming from and why they're... A lot of them are, like, they're complaining about one thing or another, and, like, I don't know what they're complaining about. Because I'm just, of course, fixated on this. So, we'll get out of the rain. And make our way over to where we can meet a Stola. But it turns out, yeah, thankfully someone's proven to be a distraction for us. Which is exactly what we needed. Yeah, thanks to that person for providing such a convenient distraction. So, the reason we came here was to meet with the Stola's most well-known teacher, Master Matoya, who is a character that was found all the way back in Final Fantasy I, which I've never played, but it's something that I've been told by people. Yeah, for those of you who are wondering what my first introduction was to Final Fantasy, it was Final Fantasy IV. But that was back in the days when Nintendo decided to do some sequence breaking of their own and decided that Final Fantasy IV should be Final Fantasy II. And that Final Fantasy VI will be Final Fantasy III. Yeah, I have Let's Played both of those games on my YouTube channel, by the way. Yeah, when I was first introduced to Final Fantasy, like I said, it was through Final Fantasy IV, specifically the final battle against Zeromus. My aunt and uncle had Final Fantasy 4/2, and they showed out the final battle to us against Zeromus, and I thought, like, with all the music and the setup and the design and how it all laid out, I was like, this is the greatest thing ever! And I still believe that to this very day. Because without it, I would not be the Final Fantasy fan I am, and I would not be playing this game in a speedrun marathon, much less period. Next up is the penultimate dungeon of this run, the Great Gooball Library, because in order to create a device that we need in order to get to where the Archbishop went, we need some knowledge out of a book that is in a library that would make the Library of Congress jealous. Are they close enough? Not quite. Yeah, away we go. See, I'll draw all these guys over to me and make them follow. And I'll take them all the way over here, where I'll finish the rest of them off. Yeah, for those of you who are into elevator music, this is the perfect spot for you. They basically broke the mold on this place when it comes to elevator music. Alright, so have them all follow me again. There we go. And so now we gotta fight off a big Demon Tome version of the Demon Wall from Final Fantasy IV. Yeah, this thing has a lot of fancy tricks up its sleeve. Many of which I hope we never have to deal with. Yeah, that's all that she wrote on that one. See what I did there? Can I get this off? Ah, not quite. I'll get all these guys to follow me. And now we'll start breaking them all down. Oh, that worked out very nicely. Alright, so now we're running into a boss battle that can be notorious for being more trouble than it's worth. So this boss Biblios goes invulnerable from time to time, and he will summon some books that we need to destroy in order to get these orbs to come our way, because we need to pull them into Biblios in order to make him vulnerable to attack again. Or can we get him before he... I couldn't two-cycle him. I have been able to two-cycle him before, but it is very rare. And on the second time you go around, you have all this smoke around that plays defense. So you have to put a little English into your shot. But yeah, I have been able to two-cycle him before, but it's very hard, very rare. All these guys to chase after me. Now there's one enemy I want to get rid of in particular, and that's the Scatane. Reason we want to get rid of him, because if we don't, he will summon reinforcements, and we don't want to deal with reinforcements. If at all possible. Then we also get to deal with this game's version of Logos, not to be confused with the Logos from Final Fantasy X-2. I got what I needed. Now we're gonna have to get another Scatane. He's dead. And now we'll get ourselves a piece of the final boss. This final boss is a bit of a case because he can shoot lightning orbs at you that can stay on the field, and if you're staying too close to them, they continuously damage you. Now, on top of that, he also can summon enemies out of portals if you're not fast enough to stand on them with enough people in order to seal the holes. So yeah, he's already dropped one of his fancy glowing orbs. And he's not going to get off another one. And so there we go. Victory is ours, and we can take the book that we were able to find, the Needle in the Haystack, and we can take it back to Master Matoya. So once we return to her, we will be able to get the book translated, as it were, because it needs to be translated in such a way that Sid can understand it, and he can make the device that we need to access the location where the Archbishop is. Yeah, extreme close-up! And so let's go ahead and take this back. So after a bit of banter, Latoya does what she needs to do. And so now we're on our way. And now back to Ishgard again. Back to the Forgotten Knight. And we'll speak with Sir Emmerich. No, hey, we got everything we needed. And now we can give the crucial information to Sid. So back over to the Astrologicum. And we'll give Sid exactly what he requires. Yeah, he's chilling out here with Biggs and Wedge and one of his assistants over at the Ironworks. And now we just need to start to speak with people who are gonna give us their well wishes. Yeah, we need to speak with some ladies to say, hey, we're on our way to go and confront the Archbishop for everything that he's done. So we'll start with Lucia, who kneels in respect for us. Then we'll head on over to the Forgotten Knight to speak with Tataru. Hey, Tataru. And finally, we'll go ahead and speak with Miss Hilda. Yeah, once again, talking with the leader of the mercenary pack. And then we need to speak with Sir Enmont again. So back over to the last vigil. Yeah, this is probably the part I keep flubbing because I'm so eager to get on with it as far as chasing down the Archbishop that I keep forgetting to talk to Count Enmont. But I didn't forget this time. And so now, it's time for us to prepare for departure to where the Archbishop is. Back to the Astrologicum. And we'll run down to where he is. And we have to speak with Ishtola. Yeah, she has a conversation with Estenian that's quite interesting. Once that's taken care of, Alphanode, shall we depart for where the Archbishop went? A place known as Ozis Law. So, welcome to the final location of the game. Along the way, we had another situation where a notable character was had their journey in this game ended. So now we'll go ahead and start looking for various ways we can progress further. Actually, the person who just said what they said in chat, I've actually been doing speedrunning of Final Fantasy XIV for a couple of years now, and for just over a year now in marathons. But this is the first time I've done this particular run since New Game Plus was a recently introduced feature. Since New Game Plus was a recently introduced feature, I decided I wanted to start bringing it into marathons because the bulk of what I've done to this point as far as speedruns, marathons have been concerned have been just doing dungeon gauntlets. So this is the first time in a marathon I've done a proper story playthrough. And like I said, since New Game Plus was a recently introduced feature about a few months ago, that's what I'm doing here for you guys. So we needed to search for Wedge because he stumbled upon something, quite literally, that's going to help us here in Ozis Law. Notably, this guidance node that you just saw. So this guidance node basically talks in a way that, and looks in a way that, even though I've never played Portal, it makes me think of GLaDOS. So the guidance node is going to tell us, go to these various places in order to advance further, so we will oblige it. So we're going to cover the length and breadth of this particular island in order to get to where the guidance node is taking the rest of our party. So now we need to use the teleporter to officially teleport over to our next section. That's the only way we can advance the plot. We can't just skip it. We cannot skip the teleporter. So, guidance node leads on, and our crew follows. And so shall we. So I'm trying to... This is always around the point where I start trying to calculate how soon I'll be able to finish. Because I know from experience that the last dungeon and the final boss on Dragoon take a total of about 13 minutes. So we're going to see how everything unfolds here. So in order to get the next transporter to activate, we need to go into this particular spot. And we're gonna have to fight off some enemies in order to activate the transporter. So there was one over there, there's one over here. Also, if you're wondering if the enemies that are nearby are going to attack me, there's a rule that says if my experience level is more than 10 levels higher than a feral opponent, it will not attack me. So I don't need to worry about this Lamia over here. Or any of its brothers or sisters. Oh. More competition, by the looks of it. More people doing the same thing. Oh, jeez. Am I gonna get canceled out? No, thankfully not. Yeah, of course you got in the way. Because of course you did. Because of course you did. But yeah, when you have competition to deal with, that's just how it goes sometimes. And so now back to the transporter. Alright. Speak with the guidance node. And we once again need to use the teleporter in order to advance the plots. Alright, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. Because you might remember our old friends from the Guardian Empire. Well, turns out they actually followed us here to Ozisla. We did all the grunt work as far as getting the access to this place, and so they basically rode on our coattails, let us do the grunt work, and so now they've set up base here. So yeah, our party is letting us know that, hold on, these guys are now on the field, and so we have to try and avoid them at all costs. So now we'll head on over here. Also, as we approach 2 a.m. in the morning Eastern Time, thank you to all of you guys for toughing this out, especially after we had our situation earlier where we were having a lot of technical difficulties and this run was delayed by half an hour. Thanks to you guys for toughing it out here with me and the rest of us tonight. Yeah, we're really grateful for your support. Yeah, you guys are awesome. So now we have to deal with the commander of the forces for the Guardian Empire here, Regula Van Hydrus.
I shall make it quick.
A guy who has a helmet that's basically a giant ring that Sonic the Hedgehog probably would not want to collect. So as the fight goes on, Regula's going to put up some fancy X's on the field, which probably is not related to his love life, if he even has one. But yeah, as time goes on, he'll keep sending them to try and attack everyone else. We don't need to worry about the reinforcements that he's summoned, because once again our allies will fight them off for us, and eventually they'll just leave the field entirely. Also, we don't need to worry about standing in this hot blue
So
fire.
it comes to this.
Alright, so now he's gonna start running away again. He's gonna say he needs air support, which basically means he's gonna send explosive barrels our way to try and make things a little harder for us. Yeah, they're the main ceruleum tanks. So yeah, if he hits the... If he uses one of his X's successfully to land a blow on a fuel tank, it will explode and inflict a lot of damage on us. So, after he escapes, we are then encouraged to escape ourselves and advance the plot. So now we're about to have something that could be considered the most tender moment of the run. A reuniting of a father and child, as it were. And it also serves as a climax to something that served a secondary role in this plot that I have not discussed. Prior to Heaven's Ward, just before the end of A Realm Reborn, your particular power as the Warrior of Lights is stripped away by a dragon called Midgard Somir. And so, as you go along, you have to try and get your power back. And once you successfully do so, it happens right here at the end of that particular quest, and when Midgard Somir recognizes this, he rewards you by letting you fly on top of him. And so he takes us to where the final quest will take place. And it is also where we will reunite with Guidance Node. And away we go. So once again, we have to deal with some reinforcements. Yeah, sweep them all away. But I do have to wait for the icon to appear above the guidance node's head before we can advance further. Basically lets us know your task in using me is finished. Please proceed into the final dungeon, known as the Etherochemical Research Facility. Alright, given where I currently am, I should be finishing around 336 or 337. I should be finishing around that range. Oh, convenient crossover? The answer is yes. And so we'll have them chase me. And then force this barrier to open up. And so now begins the process of dealing with these robots. And we'll have them chase us, and yeah, you can hear them clicking. Yeah, try and take them out as best we can. Whoa! Ah, I got stunned! And I see who did it. Alright, let's head off. First order of business. Deal with you. Oh. There we go. Yeah, had a bit of a stall there.
I will crush you underfoot.
And now it's time for a rematch with Regula.
Enough.
We don't have to worry about the things that he sends our way, we just have to focus on him. And he's down. Moving on. So around the corner, and we'll head on downstairs. I'll make sure I keep my blood of the dragon flowing. And we're now going to use these slimes to advance further, and I will have them chase after me. Yeah, I don't know if you would be able to hear it, but they have a bubbling sound effect that's really hilarious. So yeah, we have to destroy these bioculture nodes, which also summons a lot of crap. But everything is down and we're free to go. So now we have to go and deal with another one. Oh, we just laid waste to him. Which allows us more opportunities to go and give the crap over here. Yeah, this Mirror Knight somehow slipped through the cracks, but he's now dead. And now we get to deal with this thing. It's a changeling of sorts, this particular opponent. Has a lot of things they can turn into. They can also use petrification on you, which we try to avoid at all costs. Oh, it's not dead yet. Yeah, he was just barely hanging on. He was just barely hanging on for dear life there. And now into the next section. So we're taking this elevator down, but we get stopped along the way because some friends want to say hello. And so once security is dealt with, we resume our descent. And away we go. Time for some platforms to be made for us. And we will carry on now to these chambers. There we go. Yeah, deal with a fancy Shabti. Yeah, they're shabby more or less, are the Shabti. And we'll take this down. And into our next section with more fancy platform appearing. As always, we want to get the healers down first. Yeah, this one just couldn't wait to get started. Yeah, I can't hit this one right away. Yeah, because it's set up in such a way that if it's on the platform, I'm considered to be not in line of sight, which is a bit of a troll move there. And so now it's time for us to head towards the finish line. Keep the blood of the dragon flowing as we head towards a pair of enemies that really are more or less reduced to cameo roles in this particular expansion, but they are, like the Guardian Empire, very prevalent throughout Final Fantasy XIV as a whole. They're known as the Asians. And one of their members not only makes a return appearance here in A Realm Reborn from the time that we met them there, but in addition to that, one of their members is really notorious within the current expansion, Shadowbringers. And in fact, I would go so far as to say is the most loved character in-game as we speak. A character that is representing a faction of villains is the most loved character in-game currently. So after we deal with La Habrea and his friend Igayorm, they now fuse into this thing. And as we go along, we are going to have to get rid of the trash that they provide us. So yeah, whenever they use Ancient Eruption, they can spawn these portals. I'm gonna see if I can outrun here. And I will. Yeah, I got lucky there that I was able to get the good results, that the portals spawn there. And if they do that, then I can get the faster kill. And so now we get our long-awaited battle with the Archbishop, who is now basically like his Heaven's Ward Knights and is turned into something that's really freaking huge and powerful. Using all of his holy and divine power, given that he was the Archbishop, he has now turned himself into a king. Yeah, he claims to be the reincarnation of his predecessor from a long, long time ago, from the origins of the Dragon Song War, and now we get to fight him in this final boss duel. So yeah, he has this fancy sword, which has a special power that was kept hidden from even our friend Estinian for the entire duration of the game. And isn't even made known until just before you fight him. So yeah, he does have his Heaven's Ward Knights along with him and their crazy powers, but we don't have to fight all of them. In fact, in some instances, we don't even fight any of them at all. Yeah, we wanted to turn away from that one because if he gets that move on us, it freezes us in place for a few seconds. But we should be getting to the point where he will regroup, as it were. Yep, this is that time. So now we're going to go into a series of situations where the Heaven's Ward Knights are going to show off their varied powers for the next couple of minutes. Yeah, we're basically going to get the whole 9 yards here. Now, normally if you had a party of 8, which is how you normally fight this, you would have people standing in those other circles to prevent the paralysis that we just had to take on. So we've immobilized Sir Zephyrin. The more you get his health down, the weaker his enrage attack is. Yeah, there goes another Heaven's Ward Knight dashing across the field in that particular manner. Then these two Heaven's Ward Knights we do have to fight. Yeah, let's load up for a really powerful attack. Now we're about to have a shockwave on the field. So yeah, we chase those two off. Now we get some more fancy action. I can't dodge what's coming here, because it chases me no matter where I go. And then you would, under a normal circumstance, you would have an 8-player party, you would have 8 of these circles, and you would have to try and find a safe spot to not get hit by any of them. And now we have the final enrage. We have these Comet Circles, which are similar to those found in a 24-player dungeon known as Circus Tower. And the final boss therein, known as Zonde, summons a similar attack. But once you get that out of the way, you then get this game's version of Final Fantasy VII's Knights of the Round Summon. So Thoradin pulls out all of the energy he's got, and all of his Heaven's Ward Knights start to appear alongside him in the classic round table. Yeah. We're surrounded on all sides! What will we possibly do to survive? And thus they strike. And just like Final Fantasy VII, the glass shatters. Only thing is, it's about to shatter on King Thoradin. Time is not when we defeat the king, time is when we officially complete the quest itself. So we need to get through the end credits, and we need to get through some final dialogue in order to officially stop the clock. So we'll go ahead and skip through cutscenes, and we'll skip through the credits. Hopefully. As my voice is now conveniently dying out. Yeah, once we stop speaking with Alphino, that is when time is. Time! And there we go. We've done it. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The first known instance of Final Fantasy XIV New Game Plus being used in a speedrun marathon. Like I said, sorry it took us so long to get this thing actually up and running, but I'm glad you guys stuck it out and held out with us till this late at night, and I hope that you guys enjoy the rest of the marathon. Sadly, it's not a world record. My personal best was actually 7 minutes faster than what I did here tonight, but hey, no, it's my personal best on Dragoon is 7 minutes faster. My fastest time all time was on Red Mage in the 3 hour 25 minute range. But yeah, the time was right about where I expected it to be, around 3 hours 36 minutes. So I'm still satisfied with the run. I'm glad that Budokai came to join me to plug for the COVID-19 Final Fantasy XIV video that we made. Make sure, if you haven't done so, go check it out on Reddit. Humanity vs. COVID-19 by Aquando05 is the title. And make sure to follow me here on Twitch and on YouTube. I am looking to get back into streaming soon, and I am planning on doing some videos to commemorate the 10th anniversary of Final Fantasy XIV. And I am looking for some submissions and inputs to help me make the videos more fruitful and more interesting. So if you guys need to follow me on Twitter as well, if you have any contributions that you'd like to offer, I would certainly encourage it. It'd be greatly appreciated. And hopefully, with a little more luck, we'll get to have this put into more speedrun marathons in the future. Because, as you saw, since New Game Plus is now a thing, it really has, hopefully, will open things up more for speedrunning in this game. And I hope we'll get to see a lot of it. So, thanks everyone for watching. Enjoy the rest of the marathon, provided you're willing to stay up for the overnight and pull an all-nighter. As well as the rest of the marathon. We've had some wonderful runners so far. We got more wonderful runners to come. And I'm just so grateful to be part of this marathon once again with NASA. They've been such a great group of people helping me get off the ground when coming to being involved in speedrun marathons. So if you're looking to get your feet wet in speedrunning, talk to these guys and hook up with them. They're great people. They'll definitely get you on your way. So, like I said, enjoy the rest of the marathon. Have a good night, and we will hopefully see you guys again